is the one who enters into us in the form of the individual I am. But he is as sacred as he is. But we are to realize him. That's why some Buddhistic books say that when the Buddha is prepared in the vehicles and bodies, that he is being stitched by the Devas or prepared by the Devas. In that sense, some of the tantric books used the word, the original Buddha being the omnipresent, the cosmic and the other gods or Devas being Dhyani Buddhas. You will find much of the information in a more authoritative way in the Secret Doctrine of Helena Petrova Blavatsky, written as early as 1 century ago, and she has worked out all these stages of evolution and cosmic descent, and she has compared all the world scriptures in the light of this evolution under two headings, one the cosmogenesis and the other anthropogenesis. She has compared all these stages and compared every world scripture with the skeleton of the eternal wisdom that is given in the scriptures. In that book, she has explained what Buddhas are and what Devas are and what cosmic Buddhas are. In that sense, the author might have used it. A more precise and scientific use of the word Buddhas is found only in the Secret Doctrine and also in the books of Alice A. Bailey, especially in the treatise on the cosmic fire. In that sense, you might have used it. Purusha. Devas. No, the total number of the groups of Devas working is 33. Yes. They are at the gate, because they are called the Devas at the gate. They are also called twin gods or twin horses. They are called Ashwins. The one is the Deva presiding over the beginning of anything. The other is the one who presides over the ending of anything. We can say the inauguratory Deva and the valedictory Deva. I will speak more of them tomorrow. So, along with them, the Devas are 33 in groups. Yes. No, we must refuse to accept liberation, not Deva. Devahood we should accept, because it is a great responsibility for a very long time. What is to be sacrificed according to them is what we call liberation. Because unless we sacrifice personal liberation, we lose our identity when we enter the sixth plane of existence, paranirvanic plane. So, we cannot serve as Devas, and we are described as stagnated in a particular plane of consciousness, which is sweet and very long, and we get stuck up until the dissolution of our particular unit universe occurs. I will explain more details about it on some other suitable occasion. It is always a personal problem. Generally, maximum number of human souls will be found between the third and the fourth planes of existence. Because after that level, it is immaterial if we have physical bodies or not. Physical and mental vehicles are only to give us training to that level. Generally speaking, many of us live between the third and the fourth planes of existence. No. The evolution is automatic until we come to the human stage. But when we reach the human stage, our progress is kept in our hand, in our hands. That is the whole trouble with the gap in the human evolution. The human birth is a critical point in the arc of evolution. Until we reach the stage of the human level, that is in the minerals, plants and animals, everything is automatic. The progress takes place automatically like the blossoming of a flower. That is why they are not permitted to transgress the appetites. No choice is given. But when once we reach the human kingdom, the key is given to us. It is for us to progress or stuck up there for some time. But the third alternative is not possible. That is going back. So, we should either progress or get stationed for some births and rebirths at a place. It all depends upon the individual. That is the fun of the human evolution. The choice is given to us. Not at all. Because the Devas work out their own duties, just as the gun explodes when we touch the trigger. It does its duty in a faithful way. If at all a nuclear explosion occurs, it occurs only to the biological kingdom of the earth, whereas the other kingdoms continue their own evolution irrespective of whether this earth globe exists or not. Therefore, they are the least affected. For example, the Devas of fire are not burnt by the flame. Similarly, any of the Devas working in nature are not at all affected by any experiments conducted by the human beings, because we are beings of mind. Our existence is due to our mind, whereas the existence of the Devas is due to the properties of matter and mind and space. So, they are the least affected. But the results we receive because we propose. The Devas have neither causes nor results. But they have no mind, first of all. The biological kingdom only is the mental kingdom. The space mind is not a mind like what we call mind. It is only natural, just as salt is saline in taste. It has no idea of its taste. But the truth level or the fact level will be there unerringly, without any error. We can say that the Devas are intelligences without mind, that is, seeds of wisdom, which we can call properties of matter, space, etc. They are said to live by dharma. Dharma means the truth of the property of something. They live by their behavior, but having no mind. So they have nothing to decide. They have everything to behave. That is how they work. Photons, yes. Yes. Exactly. The photons that are set in motion by a scientist or a student in a particular barrel or chamber, they are conditioned by the person who is tackling them. Because one big missing link in the modern science which is still awaiting is that the gap between two objects is having a mind, which we can for the present call space mind. It is something like the electromagnetic field in action. So, understand yourself as one pole of the field and the photon set in force the other pole. Okay? The second photon is in the presence of two polarities. The two polarities. That is, the first photon is between itself and the scientist. The second photon is between itself and the first photon, and also between itself and the scientist. And there is a triangle of EMF on the surface of which the second photon is working. So, within a very short time you will be able to calculate the aberration of the second photon also. You see, am I clear? No. Yes, but the whole thing has a medium of existence which we call the content of space, and that medium is as conscious as our mind is, because consciousness is nothing but an activity of the EMF. Understand? What we call consciousness is nothing but a vibration of the electromagnetic fields, and our mind is as much exposed to the space mind, that is the electromagnetic fields of our space, as the first and the second photon are. So, it is the duty of the modern scientist to investigate into what we call the relationship between consciousness and electromagnetic field, to be able to accept that the whole process is conscious, and he will be able to understand the self-conscious units in the photon, and also the origin of sex is placed as early as the nuclear activity, because the cathode and the anode are the primary causes of the sex division in the cells in a later stage of evolution. These things will be understood by the scientist in course of time, but for the present it is a very fertile field of research which awaits the attention of the scientist. Such a big question.
Repeat the question.
Yes. No, in the case of children we have to take every independence, but in the case of social relationships and after certain age when the individuality starts to work, then the spiritual training is to be awaited for until the individual accepts to submit himself to you. You have no right to intrude into his independence. And the awakening on the fourth and the fifth planes cannot be imposed upon anyone. And even though we try to impose, it is useless. That is what I mean about spiritual training and the training in evolution. But the training of the mother and the father to the child should be inevitable. What I speak now is about the disciple and this master. A real master never takes liberty with the disciple unless the disciple shows a spirit of offering or self-submission. That is what I mean. You mean if the parents misbehave, you mean?
Yes.
You see. There is a higher law which we should remember. When the child has a rebirth after a great misbehavior as a parent, he will be automatically a child of misbehaving parent according to the law of magnetism. So it is a compensatory law which is healing and working out something. That's why we have no solution for it until nature permits him. It is called part of the law of karma. And the child, when the compensation is finished, becomes dynamic and automatically independent, not in a revolutionary way, but in a constructive way. So it is the action of nature, and we have nothing to say except to wait until the action is complete. The child is in a period of penalization. As
When we are
as adults, we have, it depends upon the work we have taken up in this world. For a normal man of any routine profession, he has no moral right to interfere. But as a student of world goodwill or spiritual welfare, if you have given yourself up for humanity, and if you have lost yourself at least to some extent into humanity, you have every right to do it. That means you should forego your personal existence, lose personal existence and personal interest before you can take up such a job. Then you are morally qualified to do so. Tomorrow we are meeting again. Yesterday I promised to tell you about the practical procedure of how to achieve the advanced steps. That is, how to cooperate with the evolutionary function, how to train ourselves to cooperate with the Deva kingdoms, and how to learn to exist in the soul consciousness. The process is what is scientifically called yoga. Of course, the word yoga is used in many directions nowadays, but there is also the scientific definition and procedure which is called yoga. We are concerned only with that, and the science and the procedure is age old, and the exact science of yoga with its instructions can be found only in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And after that, we are expected to lead a yoga life. Yoga practice is no end in itself, but the end and the goal is yoga way of living. That is given very shortly in the end of the Patanjali's book. but it is very well supplemented in the Bhagavad Gita. So, Patanjali Yoga Sutras and Bhagavad Gita put together form the first part and the second part of the science of yoga. Now, we will try to give you an aerial view of the yoga practice with exactitude and the scientific precision intended by Patanjali and the Bhagavad Gita. We have nothing to do with the many digressions of other yoga teachers, and when we were talking about the 6 angles of vision to the ancient wisdom, followed by those who are regularly attending the lectures, we spoke of the 5 and the 6th is left behind. That is yoga. Today the same thing is the subject. First, the book of Patanjali is divided into 4 chapters. The first chapter gives us the scope and the purview of yoga practice. Why yoga should be practiced and what is the main aim. It is said that yoga is practiced to suspend the reaction of the mind. Before that, let us try to have a rough idea of yogic anatomy of the human constitution. We have our physical body made of matter. It is moved by the body of forces called prana, whose main function is pulsation. And then there is what is called the mind. So the third aspect is mind, and the mind is divided into 2 branches, the ordinary mind and the higher mind. The higher mind is what we called yesterday buddhi or will, and we are shining from within through all these layers. The one who is shining from within is called indweller. He is shining in the form of mind through the activity of the 5 senses. The sense of sight, the sense of hearing, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, and the sense of touch. Through these 5 senses, the mind is functioning, and for the present we are functioning as the mind. So, we have what is called the functioning of the mind. We call it the functioning of the indweller because we are normally confused between mind and ourselves. When the mind is working, we say we are working. When the mind is seeing through the eye, we say I see it. Like that, the mind is wrongly considered as the indweller. And there is the activity called reaction. Reaction to the environment. Whenever there is light outside, the mind is responding through the eye and reacting to the light. The result is the mind is experiencing light and shape. And we see all these people, this room and all this. That is called the reaction of the mind to light and the shape, also the color. Similarly, whenever there is a sound, our mind is reacting through the ear. Result is we are hearing. Similarly, with the smell, when there is the incense stick burning, the mind is traveling outside through the function of the nose and reacting to the smell and to the taste. We all of us know. And to the touch through the whole skin, from head to foot. The mind is traveling on the surface of the skin with the help of the nerves and finding if it is cold or hot or soft, like that. So there are 5 types of reactions to the mind, and when it is reacting to one thing, the other thing is attracting. When we are seeing the scenery through the window, somebody calls us and our mind begins to react to sound and say, why? And then this stops. The first reaction stops, and while we are talking, if it is too hot outside, our mind reacts to the heat and we stop our discussion and say, Bokusho. Like that, we are not able to enjoy any one of the faculties of the senses. The mind is asked to cut short everything. It has to cut seeing and then it has to hear. It has to cut hearing and has to taste. While tasting a good banquet, sometimes there is the policeman calling at the door, showing us the notice that we placed the motor car somewhere in the wrong place. Like this, our mind is not permitted to enjoy continuously anything. It is compared with the chariot having 5 horses in the scriptures. 5 horses are towards 5 directions and the chariot is in the middle. And 5 different people are showing attractive grass differently to the 5 horses. And they are inviting the horses towards their direction. Then the 5 horses are